Alrighty.
Out here, bro.
Yeah. Welcome back, everyone, to Solomon's Crown. I'd like to give a shout out to Will. You know, he made it back to the land of the free from Europe. Nice adjusting.
We broke out here, bro. What you mean? It's a third world country right now. We fighting for our lives.
But I'm just glad that my boy got back home safe. But either way, you see the video that we're about to review. You know, this might get a lot of flack, a lot of controversy, but I don't know if Will knows a lot about Rizza Islam, but I've watched a couple of his videos. You know, he's just one of those I'm not sure if he's in the Brotherhood of Islam, but he's just one of those Muslim brothers that try to like pretty much spit game to the Black community and stuff like that. You know, speaks out on certain things that certain organizations or governments may or may not do. But we're just gonna do a review video on his take on the LGBT.
Let's see. I mean, Muslim dudes be like radical, not like that, but like, yeah. I mean, so the thing I think about like religions and stuff like that, like you're supposed to believe in what you believe in, and like us growing up as Christians, like we believed in Christianity, things like that. It was what you were raised on, and I think that nowadays, like people are trying to make your religions radical, not, and it's just like you're getting shunned for what you believe in. Like people will bash the Bible and things like that. But like I just think there's a lot of non-believers in general. But we'll watch the video and see where it goes.
Hey, bro, go into that, brother. Listen. Okay, look. First off,
and I don't know why there's no audio.
Oh, was it on full screen already?
Let me say this too. LGBT community. You already know I'm Brother Rizza Islam. You know I'm your brother. So there's no hate to anybody from the LGBT community. That's number one. It exists. We know it exists. You absolutely are a community. You have
technical difficulties. Is the sound messed up?
It's because the sound is not coming through my Elgato headset. All right, let me run this back.
Hey, bro, go into that, brother. Listen. Okay, look. First off, let me say this to the LGBT community. You already know I'm Brother Rizza Islam. You know I'm your brother. So there's no hate to anybody from the LGBT community. That's number one. It exists. We know it exists. You absolutely are a community. You have things that you want to do as people. Cool, I understand. Here's the problem though. When your sexual preference, which by the way, when I was coming up in the 90s, I'm not that old, but in the 90s, bedroom practices wasn't being promoted in public. Real simple. Whoever you slept with and did what you did and didn't do with whoever, that wasn't being promoted. Because why? That's the bedroom stuff. So that's not, I don't need to know that. It wasn't being promoted around children. That's not how things are. Just as a decent human being, is what I'm saying. That's kind of like, you can keep that away, right? Now, however, not only is it all out in the public, but you pushing it on people. Like, either you roll with this, or you a hater. Hold on. First off, I'm a man. Okay? So to see this brother in a dress. Okay. The dress, if on a woman, look nice. But on that brother, I said, what is going on? It lets us know, number one, yes, there is an agenda to homosexualize males. This is not some...
So, I mean...
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's the thing is like, when we were coming up in school, like I grew up in San Diego, California. So like, I mean, we had a lot of like, it was pretty much like don't ask, don't tell before Obama made same-sex marriages legalized and everything like that. But it wasn't like we were going to school to learn about like math, science, chemistry, things like that. Like, I mean, even in sex ed, like as kids, we knew like, okay, not everybody likes the same gender, things like that. But like now it's just like wild.
It's in your face, like kindergartners and stuff. Like,
yeah,
having to take the time to learn about it. And it's like, bro, that's not
the
time and place.
That's the thing is like, we even did that where the chick on, I think she was on TikTok, but she works for Disney. And she was like, I'm 100% pushing a gay agenda. Like, I want like your kids to see same sex, um, same
You know,
sex, like their
relationships and stuff
relationships,
like that.
interactions. They want things to be sexualized, more sexualized, essentially. But that's not what kids are getting on Disney to watch. When we were growing up, that Cartoon Network, Disney
More
Channel.
cartoons, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, even like Ren and Stimpy was like a little edgy, and like there was a lot of subtle things that were in cartoons, like that you would go back on when you got older and be like, oh wow,
Yeah,
that's
that's wild.
wild. We were
But
watching that as a kid.
even then, I feel like those like slapstick, like on the edgy cartoons, kind of like the precursor to like Family Guy and stuff. Low key, those came on late at night, and those are for like older kids or like young adults, kind of.
Oh yeah. But
Even
they're
then,
like,
because
I
like I
mean,
didn't understand innuendos back then,
but now they're just pushing like
but it's
everything.
like
Like,
straight up in your face, like yo,
yeah.
this is yeah.
And it's like it's not like a big deal like that, but like there's a lot of people like essentially they're just saying like if your kid is Christian or your kid is Muslim, we don't care what your beliefs are. We don't care that like it's like that thing where we're supposed to separate church and
Church and
state.
state, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like okay, like why are we talking about? I mean, I get that we need to talk about like gender identity and things like that, but like that, I feel like kids in elementary school shouldn't be dealing with that right now because they're kids. Like kids shouldn't be thinking about anything sexual until like at least high school. I mean, of
But
course,
the counter argument to that is that they'll say, but you know, kids can be um, you know, trans or gay or whatever you.
okay, but
So what
like
would you say to that?
my daughter is what 11 years old. No, she's 12 now, but she gets more exposure on the internet than what she should be getting in general from like pretty much what I'm trying to say is like, okay, my daughter's on YouTube. She's a kid. There was a point in time where she was watching um, like shows that were like essentially look like kid shows, but then they had like secret messages and stuff in it. I think it was like
Really?
Bachelor Life and things like that. So it's like, okay, I want my daughter to be safe on the internet. You had that Momo incident where kids were like literally committing suicide because they were listening to the Momo thing. And it's like somebody was pushing an agenda to get kids to kill themselves. Somebody was pushing an agenda to like, oh, hey, kid, like, this is what you should be doing when your parents aren't there, this, and that. And that's what the agenda feels like when they're pushing like a lot of the LGBTQ stuff on kids, where it's like, okay, well, somebody got mad that growing up they weren't allowed to express themselves, which I mean, I get that. And now they're just like, oh, well, we want all these straight Christian kids to see like this, and that. And the thing is, it's like, okay, as an adult, I can take in this kind of information. But as a kid, a lot of kids don't know, and I mean, we can lead into the Jordan Peterson thing where he got banned, but like there's a lot of stuff that's just like, I'm not saying that nobody, like people shouldn't live their lives the way they want to, but like, I personally don't think that children should be getting sex changes. And I don't think that that should be something that's pushed into schools. Like America is already behind as far as like education.
Education.
And now we're pushing something that is important, but it's not important to like a kid's best interest as far as like getting a job and being successful or being a scientist. Like that's all we thought about when we were in school. And I don't have anything against LGBTQ or anybody, their life choices and things like that. But at the end of the day, if I want to raise my child to be free and believe in what she wants to believe in, and she's going to make the choice whenever she does decide to do it. But like if I'm sending her to school, I want her to be getting educated about things that will actually help her in life, like social issues and lifestyle choices. Like that's cool and all, but like I want my daughter learning how to do calculus. I want my daughter learning physics. I want my daughter to learn I mean, actually anatomy, because the thing is like we're taking the science out of things and pretty much just being like science, like what are they teaching in science class now at this point? Where it's like we're not talking about like biological things. We're talking about this is how I feel. And I think that's the biggest thing is like we're not even using logic anymore when it comes to like what we are projecting into the schools. Like, I mean, even sex ed, like, okay, if we're going to talk about anything sexual, if we're going to talk about like orientations and things like this, okay, this is a sex ed class. But even that's been an argument where like kids, I mean, in different countries, they teach their kids younger, like maybe sixth grade, seventh grade, stuff like that. And that's fine. But like to be teaching elementary school kids, like when they need to just be getting juice boxes and going to recess, like it's just like it's a lot for a kid to handle and process. And we truthfully don't look at the kids when it comes to this as far as like how far away they need to what they need to know for the future.
I mean, personally, I don't have anything against LGBTQs. Like, live your life. Interacted with a couple of people who are LGBT and they're people, but as a collective, as a group, I feel like, or I think that in a way, the group can be bullies to other people who don't think like them. It's kind of like, oh, if you think this way, then you're a bigot. If you think this way, you're transphobic, blah blah blah. Like you've seen the TikToks where it's like, someone would be like, some trans person would be, oh, this is the reason why if you don't date a trans woman, then you're a bigot. As a straight man, like straight men should be marrying trans women because they are women. And some dudes, I would assume most dudes, heterosexual dudes, don't want to get with a natural born woman. That's their preference. There are some dudes that are into, the trans stuff, but there's some dudes that they just want a natural born woman because maybe they want kids. But, people are being attacked. It's like if you're not with this certain narrative, you get attacked for it. And even going back to the whole kids things, I've been hearing things and seeing things where they're having drag queens in schools reading books and having kids in drag and all sorts of stuff. And again, it goes back to what you're saying. It's like, let kids be kids. Like there's no need for, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual or whatever sexual, like leave the sex out of it. There's a time and place for it.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're trying to say is like kids, I mean, we're sexualizing a lot of this stuff like for kids. And it's like, bro, back in the day is like we didn't like, I mean, granted, we could have been taught more about sexual education and everything like that. So like people weren't getting pregnant and people weren't catching STDs and things like that. But like with the way things are going now, like people don't even care about that. Like, and that just a one little snippet before we jump back into this, where you were talking about like, oh, people getting bullied. I was watching a video. I think it was No Jumper, but Rico Strong was talking about August Ames. It was a porn star who killed herself because she got ridiculed because she said, I don't want to. She didn't say like, oh, this dude. So
I remember. Yeah.
So the guy that she was pretty much like, they wanted her to do a scene with the guy, and he does porn on both sides. So he goes both ways. So he does porn with men and he does porn with women. And she said, for my safety, I just prefer not to have sex with him because we know like the whole AIDS and the gay community was running rampant for a while because they're at a higher risk just because gay men.
It's a biology of it.
Yeah. So she said that she didn't want to do that. And the LGBTQ community pretty much like hazed her until she killed herself.